Deep in the Orion Arm, silence rules the trade lanes. Stars flicker like cold fire across endless black. Drifting through that silence is a small human freighter, the Starling. Its hull is old, its engines hum quietly. From a distance, it looks harmless, slow, weak, but someone is watching. Hidden behind a dying moon, the Krell Dominion raiders wait. Their ships, black and sharp like knives, stalk the freighter. The Krell are ancient pirates, hunters of worlds. They have robbed 1,000 ships from 1,000 species. They know no fear. Tonight they see an easy target. A single human vessel, unarmed and alone. Their leader, Captain Vorath, grins through rows of steel teeth. "Take it alive," he growls. Humans sell well. Slow their engines. Board them. The order goes out. In seconds, 6 Krell ships burst from the shadows. Energy lances streak across the void. Bright blue bolts strike the Starling's hull and vanish. No shield flares. No damage. Nothing. Vorath frowns. "Fire again!" They fire everything. Plasma cannons, disruptors, EMP nets. Still nothing happens. The Starling doesn't even try to move. Instead, a voice crackles across the open channel. Calm, human, female. "This is Captain Mara Lorne of the Starling. You have fired on a human vessel. That was your first mistake," the raiders laugh. "You think you scare us, little human?" The Starling's engines shift tone. Panels along the hull open, revealing massive turrets, far too large for a ship that size. The freighter wasn't a freighter. It was a trap. Captain Lorne's voice hardens. "Your second mistake was assuming we don't shoot back." Then, light. Blinding white. The space around the raiders erupts in fury. Beams slice through Krell armor like fire through paper. One ship explodes instantly. Another is torn in half. In less than a minute, the battlefield is silent again. Only debris drifts where the Krell fleet once stood. The Starling remains motionless, scarred, but alive. Captain Lorne turns off the comms and whispers, "Message sent. Narration note for YouTube voiceover. Start slow, building tension with pauses between lines. Raise energy during the attack. Short sentences, faster delivery. End on a quiet, chilling note with message sent." The wreckage of the Krell fleet drifts through space, silent, burning. Metal floats like ash in the dark. The Starling turns, its engines glowing a soft blue. Captain Mara Lorne stares at the hollow screen, showing only static where the enemy once was. Her voice is quiet. "Transmit the logs to Sol Command. Let them know it's begun." The message leaves her ship and races across the stars. The galactic reaction. 3 days later, across the galaxy, the Council of Species gathers in panic. In a chamber of silver and glass, ambassadors shout over one another. "A single human freighter destroyed 12 Krell ships." "Impossible. They used hidden weapons." "They used something worse." At the center, the Krell ambassador pounds the table. "We demand vengeance. They murdered our warriors." But others are afraid. Humans are new to the galaxy. Only a century since first contact. They were supposed to be peaceful traders, curious explorers, builders of colonies. No one believed they could be dangerous. Now holofeeds show the impossible, a cargo vessel armed like a battleship. Technology the Council doesn't understand. Energy readings that break known science. Whispers begin to spread. Maybe humans were never harmless. Maybe they were just waiting. The warning across neutral space, traders begin avoiding human routes. News networks replay the same image, a glowing message burned into the Krell debris. In English and Galactic Common, "Do not ambush human ships." Simple words. But they echo through every system, every starport, every listening post. Some laugh at it. Others don't. Because deep down, everyone remembers the stories humans told of their past. Wars that lasted centuries, fought on a single world. Weapons that burned continents, and the promise they made when they joined the stars. We seek peace, but we do not forget how to fight. The rising storm at Sol Command, the message arrives. Admiral Sarah Cato, commander of the Terran Defense Fleet, reads the report. Her eyes narrow as she scrolls through the combat footage. She doesn't smile. She doesn't speak for a long time. Then she turns to her officers. The Krell started this. They'll expect weakness. We'll give them an answer instead. Across the solar system, fleets begin to move. Engines roar to life. Satellites realign. Old codes are unlocked. The galaxy does not know it yet. But humanity's silence is over. Narration. Tips for YouTube. Begin with a calm, grim tone, like an aftermath. Build pace and intensity during the council scene. Use echoes, overlapping voices in editing. End with a deep, quiet line. Humanity's silence is over. Then let the music rise. A month after the ambush, a broken ship drifts into neutral space. It's Krell, or what's left of one. Half the hull is missing. The engines are dead. The life support flickers weakly. Rescue drones from a nearby patrol tug it in. Inside, they find only one survivor, Captain Vor Rath, the same raider who ordered the attack on the Starling. He is no longer proud, no longer cruel. His skin is pale, his eyes hollow. He doesn't speak for hours, just stares at the stars, shaking. Finally, a medic leans close and asks, "What happened out there?" Vor Rath whispers a single word. "Humans." The confession later, at a council debriefing, cameras record as Vor Rath tells his story. His voice trembles. "We attacked their freighter. It wasn't alone. It called for help." He pauses, claws scraping the metal table. The next day they came. No warning, no message, just fire. He describes ships that moved faster than light sensors could track, dark, silent, deadly. They didn't jam signals. They didn't gloat. They hunted the Krell fleet one ship at a time. They don't chase, Vor Rath says. They wait. They cut engines and drift and listen. Then, he slams his fist on the table. Then they strike. Like predators, the Black Fleet. The council members exchange looks of disbelief. "Human ships don't have that technology," one says. Vor Rath laughs, a broken sound. "You think you know them? You don't. They hide their true fleets. I saw their flagship. Black with no name, no signal." He leans forward, eyes wide. "They called it the Retaliation Protocol." The room goes silent. No one speaks. No one dares! Because they all know. If humans have something like that, then the Krell are already lost. The silent systems, in the following weeks, strange reports begin to surface. Krell colonies going dark. Mining outposts showing signs of orbital strikes. Wrecks found drifting, marked with the same burning words. Never again. No one can prove it's the humans. No one can find them, but the pattern is clear. Every place that once traded in human slaves is gone. The growing fear by now, even the bravest pirates refuse to touch Terran space. Rumors spread through the outer systems. They say human ships don't show up on scanners. They say they attack only when provoked. And when they do, they don't miss. Across the galaxy. A new phrase is whispered in every tongue. Don't ambush a human ship. Narration tips for YouTube. Begin with low, eerie background tones like distant rumbling or static. Read Vor Rath's dialogue slowly, with tension and fear. Let silence fill moments after key lines like, "They wait, then they strike." End the part with a rising hum, fading on the line, "Don't ambush a human ship." The galaxy thought the story of the Starling was over. They were wrong. That was only the beginning, the gathering storm at, the heart of the Sol system, deep beneath the lunar surface, lies Sol Command, the headquarters of the Terran Defense Fleet. The air is tense. Screens glow with star maps marked in red. Krell colonies, raider bases, and black market routes that once trafficked human lives. Admiral Sarah Cato stands before the display. Her uniform is clean, her voice calm, but her eyes burn cold. She listens as her officers read reports. 3 more settlements gone dark, Admiral. Confirmed Krell signatures before the attack. Civilian ships are being rerouted through safe lanes. Cato nods once. And our response? A younger officer hesitates. The Council warns us not to escalate. They want diplomacy. The room goes silent. Then slowly the Admiral speaks. The Krell didn't ask for diplomacy when they attacked our ship. Prepare retaliation protocol. No one breathes. Everyone knows what that means. The command hasn't been used in over a century, a relic of Earth's final global war. A doctrine of absolute response. For every attack on humanity, a strike 3 times greater. Not for revenge, For warning. The officer swallows hard, then salutes. Yes, Admiral. The black ships awaken across the solar system, massive hangar doors open on hidden moons and dark stations. Inside them, sleep ships the galaxy has never seen. The Aegis-class warships, black as night, built without identifiers or signal codes. Their hulls absorb radar and light. Their weapons run silent. They are ghosts of the void. As one by one they awaken, the stars above Earth flicker like dying embers. Entire shipyards come alive. Engines roar, guidance systems align, and the first wave of humanity's hidden fleet rises into space. Each ship bears a single mark on its side, the same phrase burned into the Krell wrecks. Never again. When the last warship leaves orbit, the Earth below is silent. Every nation, every colony, every moon watches their ships disappear into the dark. No one celebrates. They know what it means. Disappear into the dark. No one celebrates. They know what it means. The march of Fire Admiral Kaito's flagship, the TDS Vengeance Dawn, leads the fleet through the slipstream gate near Neptune. As the jump field expands, her voice echoes through every ship in the formation. They came for one of ours. They thought we would bow. They were wrong. We don't conquer, we protect, and we do not forgive those who hunt us. Then the gate ignites, a ring of pure white energy swallowing the fleet whole. When they emerge, the stars are different. They're deep in Krell territory now. Enemy space, sensors light up instantly. The Krell have seen them. Thousands of defense satellites come online, weapons turning toward the human ships. The fleet doesn't wait. Missiles vanish from their tubes, moving too fast for light to reflect. Krell stations explode before they even finish locking targets. Orbital platforms melt, burning in silence as debris rains across the night side of their planets. In under 5 minutes, the first Krell defense world is gone. The fear spreads word travels faster than ships. By the time the second Krell system burns, a dozen other species already know. The humans haven't just attacked. They've erased entire fleets with surgical precision. But what frightens them most isn't the destruction. It's the silence. There are no declarations of war, no broadcasts, no demands. Only black ships appearing out of nowhere, striking and vanishing again. No survivors, no signals. In the trade hubs, people whisper that the humans have awakened their old Earth ghosts, machines built from forgotten wars. Others say the humans made a deal with the darkness itself. No one knows the truth. No one wants to find out. The eye of command back aboard the Vengeance Dawn, Admiral Kaito stands alone in the command deck's observation ring. Below her, the last burning fragments of a Krell ship drift apart, glowing like dying coals. Her first officer approaches quietly. Admiral, Council channels are demanding an explanation. They say we're escalating beyond reason. Kaito doesn't turn. The Council doesn't understand reason. Not yet. And if they threaten sanctions? She looks at him, her face unreadable. Then they can stand in front of us. Let's see if they're braver than the Krell. The officer says nothing. Outside, another explosion lights up the dark. The line in the stars a week later, the human fleet halts at the edge of Krell Prime, their homeworld. Sensors show millions of life signs below, fleets gathering in orbit, desperate and ready. Kaito's voice fills every comm line. We are not here to conquer. We are here to remind. The fleet fires a single shot, a warning, a beam of light that cuts across the planet's ocean, turning water to steam. No lives taken. Just a message burned deep into the crust, visible from orbit. Do not touch what is ours. Then the human fleet turns away. No invasion, no victory parade, just silence and smoke. The galaxy reacts. In the following days, trade routes shift. Pirate factions vanish. Every major empire sends envoys to Sol, offering apologies, treaties, or silence. The message is clear now. Humans don't seek power. They seek peace. But if peace is broken, if one ship, one life, one flag of Earth is touched, then the galaxy knows what happens next. Fire. The war was over before most species even realized it had begun. The Krell fleets were gone, their colonies silent. No one knew the exact number of ships destroyed or how quickly it happened. Only that one day, Krell space burned, and the next day, it was empty. The aftermath, across the galaxy, traffic routes rerouted overnight. Merchant convoys avoided human sectors. Pirate dens, once proud and fearless, sealed their docks and sent quiet messages to Sol Command, not challenges, but apologies. Everywhere, whispers replaced courage. On backwater stations, aliens huddled in dim bars, trading rumors in low voices. The humans have a fleet you can't see. They don't send warnings. If they mark you, you're gone by morning. Some claimed to have heard human ships slip through the dark without engine noise. Others swore they'd seen light vanish around their hulls. Nobody knew if it was true. Nobody wanted to find out. Even the bravest captains, smugglers, raiders, mercenaries, began marking their logs with a new warning. Avoid human lanes. They remember. The Council's dilemma inside the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, chaos ruled. Representatives shouted across the glowing table, holograms flickering with reports of destroyed outposts and terrified citizens. "They are unstable," cried one. "They wiped out an entire empire in days." "They were provoked," another replied. "You all saw the recordings. Provoked? Is that justification for genocide? You call it genocide. They call it defense." At the center, the council speaker, a calm, crystalline being named Serath, raised a hand. The noise faded. "We need contact," Serath said. "A voice from them. We must understand what they want," but no human representatives had returned their messages. All transmissions to Sol went unanswered. For the first time in centuries, the Council, rulers of half the known galaxy, sat in silence. Afraid, the merchants' warnings, meanwhile, in the trade sectors, a new pattern appeared. Ships that flew near human borders found drifting wrecks. Pirate vessels, gutted and burned with a single mark scorched onto their hulls. Peace through strength. Merchants began engraving the phrase on their own ships, hoping humans would see and let them pass. Some even painted the Terran flag beside it, pretending to be human allies. It became a superstition, a charm against destruction. At first, people laughed at it. Then a convoy that didn't display it vanished. After that, no one laughed again. The fear turns to legend weeks turned into months. No human fleets were seen. No new wars began. But the silence itself became the greatest terror. Children of other species grew up hearing stories about the humans, how they came from a world of storms and war, how they tamed their own chaos, how they hid that power behind smiles and trade deals until someone pushed them too far. In schools, teachers whispered the phrase, "Don't wake a sleeping human." In taverns, travelers swore that if you stared too long into the void, you could still see the faint trails of fire from the vengeance dawn. And somewhere deep in the dark, maybe, just maybe, those ships were still watching. The return of the envoy, finally. The council chose one to break the silence. An old diplomat named Tavrek, a reptilian scholar known for his calm nature and unshakable courage. He volunteered to go where no one else dared, to Sol itself. His small ship approached human space cautiously, broadcasting a message of peace every hour. No reply came. Then, as he crossed the last marker buoy, a shadow fell over his ship. A massive human cruiser appeared, silent, black, motionless. Its sheer presence filled his sensors. Tavrek's heart raced. He sent another message. "I come in peace. I bring words, not weapons." For several long minutes, nothing happened. Then a voice, smooth, calm, female, filled his cockpit. "This is Admiral Sarah Kaito of the Terran Defense Fleet. State your purpose." "I am here to understand," Tavrek replied softly. "The galaxy fears you. Tell me why we should not." There was a pause. Then Kaito spoke, her tone even, her words heavy as planets. "Because fear is not what we wanted, but respect that we earned." The words that echoed. When Tavrek returned to the council weeks later, he carried no threats, no demands, only a message. He stood before the same arguing ambassadors and spoke clearly. They do not want war. They do not seek control. They want one thing only, to be left in peace. But if anyone breaks that peace, they will answer. The council chamber went quiet. Even Serath, the speaker, said nothing. Then Tavrek added one final line. Do not test them again. I have seen their fire. The new order from that day on, maps across the galaxy changed. Human space was no longer marked as a frontier. It was redrawn as neutral territory, a zone no one entered without permission. Trade resumed, slowly, cautious, respectful. Even the Krell survivors, broken and scattered, sent tribute to Sul, not out of loyalty, but out of survival. And through it all, humanity remained quiet. They rebuilt. They explored. They traded again, but the galaxy would never look at them the same way. Because behind every handshake, behind every smile, there was the memory of those silent black ships. The day the stars burned, and the name whispered still across every world, don't ambush a human ship. It had been one standard year since the fires of the Krell War faded into silence. Trade had returned. Ships moved again. But the galaxy was still holding its breath. Everywhere, one truth lingered. No one dared to provoke humanity again. Still, unease grew. The Council wanted answers, and they wanted control. Peace built on fear, they said, could not last forever. And so, they summoned the humans. To everyone's surprise, the humans agreed. The arrival of the Council chamber on the capital world Illyria Prime had never been so full. Hundreds of delegates, thousands of cameras, every species watching. They came not for discussion, but to see the faces of the ones who had terrified the stars. When the great doors opened, silence fell. A single human delegation entered. 5 officers in black uniforms. At their head walked Admiral Sarah Cato. She wore no weapons, no medals, no symbols, only the silver crest of the Terran fleet on her chest. Her boots echoed against the crystal floor as she approached the council podium. Every eye followed her. Every breath held still. The speaker, Serath, spoke first. Admiral Kaito, you honor us with your presence. Humanity's recent actions have caused great concern across the galaxy. Kaito inclined her head slightly. Concern is not the same as understanding. Concern is not the same as understanding. To carry through the vast hall. The accusation a delegate from the Vorn Republic stood up, his scaled hands trembling with anger. You destroyed hundreds of ships. You bombarded colonies. Entire systems now fear to breathe your name. Kaito turned to him, expression unreadable. We responded to aggression. With annihilation? With certainty, she said simply. The Krell ambushed a civilian vessel. They murdered its crew. We made sure it would never happen again. The chamber erupted with voices, shouts, protests, demands. Serath raised a hand for silence, but the noise continued. Through it all, Kaito stood unmoving, a shadow of steel among stars. The exchange, finally, the speaker spoke again. You must understand, Admiral, fear can be dangerous. The galaxy trembles at your silence. They do not know if you are protectors, or something else. Kaito's eyes met Serath's. Perhaps the galaxy should decide that for itself. She took a slow step forward. When humanity joined the stars, we were told to obey the Council's laws, to respect its peace. We did. We built colonies, we traded fairly, we shared our science. But when we were attacked, when your Council did nothing, we learned what peace means to you. She paused. Peace to the galaxy means human silence. The words hit the chamber like thunder. Every translator paused before continuing, as if afraid to speak them aloud. The moment of truth, Serath leaned forward, voice gentle but firm. Then tell us, Admiral, what does peace mean to humanity? For the first time, Kaito smiled, faintly but real. To us, peace means mutual respect. It means no one hunts the weak. It means no one fires first. It means that every ship, every life has value until someone decides otherwise. She turned to the gathered delegates. We do not want war, but we will not be silent victims. Ever again, the chamber was still. No one spoke. Then, from somewhere in the back, a quiet voice said, And if we fear you anyway? Kaito looked out across the sea of faces. Then remember this, fear is your choice. Respect is ours to earn. The unexpected gesture for a long time, no one moved. Then, slowly, Serath rose from the speaker's chair. The crystalline figure bowed deeply to the human admiral. Admiral Kaido of Sol. On behalf of the Galactic Council, we recognize humanity as an equal sovereign power. You have proven your strength. Perhaps now we may learn your kind of peace. Kaido bowed her head slightly in return. That is all we ever wanted. Cameras flashed. The moment would be remembered for centuries. The day the galaxy bent. Not in fear, but in acknowledgement. The aftermath, after the meeting, Kaito stepped out onto the observation deck overlooking Illyria's twin suns. The light shimmered across her uniform, reflecting in the curved glass of her ship waiting below. Her first officer joined her. Admiral, the council seems changed. Kaido nodded. Fear changes many things, but understanding, that lasts longer. Do you think they'll keep their promise? She looked out at the stars, countless points of light, cold and distant. For a while, until someone forgets, then we'll remind them again. The officer smiled faintly. And if they don't listen? Kaido turned toward him, her eyes calm and sharp as steel. Then the stars will remember the fire. The legacy of fire that night, the galaxy slept uneasily but peacefully. No fleets launched. No wars began. Trade resumed, and for the first time in generations, no system burned. The humans returned to Sol quietly, leaving no threats, no demands, only a simple message carved into the data streams of every council world. Peace is not given. It is kept. The words spread like a quiet storm, carried from one planet to another. And across the stars, from the richest core world to the loneliest outpost, every captain, every soldier, every pirate knew the truth. If the humans ever came again, it would not be to destroy. It would be to remind, because the galaxy spoke in fear, and humanity answered in fire. Centuries passed. Empires rose, fell, and faded into dust. Worlds changed names. Borders shifted. But one thing never changed: the story of the humans. No one could remember exactly when the war began, or how many ships burned in the dark. But every species on every world still told the tale. It began as history, and became legend. The stories in the dark, in the far corners of the galaxy. Spacers still whisper the same words before a long journey. If you see a Terran ship, give them way. Children of alien worlds grow up hearing bedtime tales of the Starling, the freighter that wasn't a freighter. They imagine it drifting through the stars like a phantom, watching, waiting. Old captains tell stories over dim bar lights, stories of black ships that appear when pirates strike, of weapons that glow like suns, and of voices that speak from the void. You've made a mistake. No one is sure what's real anymore. But no one wants to find out. The mark of Solon, the old trade maps. There's still a red zone, a vast sphere marked only with a simple warning. Terran Union, entry forbidden without permission. Inside that region, humanity has thrived. They built new colonies, new fleets, new worlds, but they kept one rule written in every law, every oath, every ship's registry. No unprovoked strike, no conquest, no surrender. Peace to them is sacred. But should that peace break? They remember, in the halls of Sol Command, under the glow of Earth's blue sky, a plaque still stands. On it are the names of every human ship that fell defending the Starling. And below those names, one phrase is carved deep in metal. We came in peace. You chose fire. The echo across the stars far from Sol, in the archives of alien worlds, scholars argue about humanity's true power. Some call them monsters, others saviors. But all agree on one thing. When humans fight, they fight like no one else. A historian from the Illyrian academies once wrote, "Humans do not wage war for glory or territory. They fight because someone, somewhere, made them remember why they shouldn't have to." That quote is taught in every military academy now, not as warning, but as lesson. The traveler one quiet night, in the outer sectors, a lone trading vessel drifts through forgotten space. Its captain, an old alien merchant, hums to himself as he navigates. Then suddenly his sensors flicker. Something massive moves in the dark, a shape too large, too silent. No identification, no signal, just the faint glint of metal. His hands tremble. He opens a channel and transmits the only words anyone ever should. This is civilian vessel Doreen's Hope. We come in peace. For a long, endless moment, there is nothing but static. Then a voice replies, calm, human, distant. Acknowledged Doreen's Hope, safe travels. And just as suddenly as it appeared, the shape vanishes. The merchant exhales, his eyes wide with awe. He whispers softly, "They're still out there." The words that endure across generations, the galaxy learned something humanity never had to say aloud. Respect is not fear. Peace is not weakness, and vengeance once earned never fades. It simply waits. So, when disputes arise between empires and tempers flare, leaders still use the same phrase to calm their people. Do not make the humans remember, because everyone knows what happens when they do. They remember the Starling. They remember Admiral Kaito. They remember the black fleets and the burning skies. They remember the moment when the galaxy spoke in fear, and humanity answered in fire. The keeper of history on a quiet moon orbiting Earth, there is a museum called the Hall of Voices. Visitors from every species come there to hear the recordings from the first ambush, the static, the screams, the silence, and finally, the voice of Captain Mara Lorne. "This is Captain Lorne of the Starling. You have made a mistake." The museum guide, a young human, always ends the tour the same way. "People think we're dangerous because we fight. That's not true. We fight because we care, about freedom, about family, about each other." He smiles, eyes bright with quiet pride. The galaxy remembers the fire, but they forget the reason. We didn't burn the stars to conquer them. We burned them to make sure no one else would ever have to. The final message long after the museum closes, the stars outside glimmer over Earth's horizon. Far beyond them, unseen ships still patrol the edge of known space, silent guardians, watching, waiting. Their message is old now, carried through generations, across light years and legend. Don't ambush a human ship. It's not a threat anymore. It's a truth. One written into the history of the galaxy, one every species has come to accept. Because they all know, somewhere out there, the Terran fleet still stands ready. And if the day ever comes when the galaxy forgets again, then once more the silence will break. And humanity will answer not with words, but with fire. But with fire. 1,000 years have passed since the fires of Sol last burned across the stars. The galaxy has changed. New empires rule the trade lanes. Old names have faded into myth. And humanity, the once feared children of Earth, has vanished from sight. For generations, no one has seen a Terran ship. No human voice has echoed in council halls. The Starling, the Vengeance Dawn, the Black Fleet, all have become stories told to frighten cadets and amuse historians. Peace reigns, but peace makes the young forget. The Sparket begins on the border of the Valoran Confederacy, a powerful new empire that stretches across 12 sectors, ambitious, proud, and certain of their strength. Their leaders call the ancient Terran myths ghost stories for cowards. When Valoran explorers find the ruins of an abandoned human relay station, still active, still transmitting after 1,000 years, they do not treat it with caution. They strip it for parts. They laugh at the old warnings carved into its hull. Peace is not given. It is kept. The Valorans remove the words, melt them down, and sell the metal as scrap. And in doing so, they make the same mistake the Krell once made. They forget who they are dealing with. The silence breaks. A week later, the station vanishes. Not destroyed, not captured, vanished, without a trace. The Valorans send an investigation fleet of 12 warships. None return. At first, the Confederacy blames pirates. Then, the border colonies begin reporting strange signals. Low, rhythmic pulses repeating across every frequency. It isn't language. It isn't code, but to old historians it sounds familiar, a pattern. A rhythm once recorded in Terran battle transmissions. 3 tones. Pause. 2 tones. Pause. 1 tone. An ancient call. the sound of a fleet awakening, the Council in denial. When news reaches the Galactic Council, panic stirs, but only among the oldest species. Most of the young races laugh it off. Humans, after 1,000 years? Impossible! They're extinct. If they were still out there, they'd have shown themselves long ago. But the elders remember. They remember the Day of Fire. They remember Admiral Sarah Cato and her quiet, merciless voice. And they do not laugh. The Council orders a quiet inquiry. Nothing public, nothing official. A small recon probe is sent to the coordinates of the vanished Valoran fleet. The probe transmits for 23 seconds before it cuts off. Its last image shows only one thing: a ship, black, silent, with a symbol carved into its hull, a silver crest of Earth, shining in the dark. The awakening of Sol far away, on the edge of forgotten space, lies the Sol system, long hidden, long sealed. Its skies are not empty. Deep beneath the dust of Mars, reactors hum. Beneath the oceans of Europa, outposts still glow. And on the dark side of Earth's moon, a light flickers to life for the first time in centuries. The humans never left. They only waited, watched, prepared. A voice echoes through a command hall buried beneath lunar rock. Contact confirmed. Unknown vessels desecrated Site Alpha. A second voice answers, calm, steady, ageless. Then it begins again. The cameras turn toward a figure in an old uniform, preserved through generations. Her name tag bears a single name, Kaito, a descendant perhaps, or a clone. No one knows. All that matters is the voice, the same calm tone that once silenced the galaxy. Activate retaliation protocol. The Black Fleet returns from hidden shipyards orbiting the dead planet Mercury. The Vengeance Fleet awakens. Thousands of ships, black, cold, silent, come to life. Their hulls gleam faintly under the dying light of the sun. They have slept for a millennium, waiting for a reason to rise again. Now they have one. The fleet forms in perfect silence, their engines whispering like ghosts. Each ship bears the same message across its side: never again. And as the flagship Vengeance Dawn II leads them toward the stars themselves seem to dim. The return. The first strike falls on the Valoran capital world. No warning, no transmission, just light. The defense grid collapses in seconds. The orbital stations disintegrate. Cities vanish beneath precision orbital strikes. Surgical, clean, merciless. The Valorans never even see their attackers. By the time their sensors detect movement, the humans are already gone. The only thing left behind is a single broadcast repeating across every frequency. You were warned. The galaxy trembles. Once again, the humans are awake. The message to the Council. Within days, the Council receives a transmission, encrypted with ancient Terran codes. It is short. It contains only an image, a fragment of the old Council Charter signed 1,000 years ago. And beneath it, a voice. We kept peace for 1,000 years. You broke it. We will remind you what silence costs. The message ends with 3 tones. Pause. 2 tones. Pause. 1. The sound of reckoning. The galaxy reacts. Panic spreads faster than light. Fleets scramble. Alliances shift. Every species sends envoys towards Sol, desperate to beg, bargain, or explain. None return. Trade routes collapse. Governments fall. And in the shadows of ruined worlds, people whisper the words their ancestors once spoke. Don't ambush a human ship, but this time, it's not a warning. It's a prayer. The revelation, a month after the first strike, the Vengeance Dawn II appears above Illyria Prime, the same world where Admiral Sarah Cato once faced the Council. The planet's skies glow red from atmospheric entry fire as the human fleet takes orbit. Then, a voice echoes across every channel, across every frequency, across the stars. This is Admiral Cato of Sol Command. You were given peace. You traded it for arrogance. You have forgotten what fire sounds like. Allow us to remind you. The fleet does not fire. Instead, it transmits a data burst, thousands of records from the past millennium. Human trade deals. Human peace treaties, human offers of cooperation. all ignored, erased, or exploited by newer empires. The truth is revealed. Humanity never vanished. They simply withdrew and watched the galaxy grow proud again. "We are not here to conquer," Kaito's voice continues. "We are here to restore balance." Then the fleet vanishes, leaving Illyria untouched. A warning, not a war. This time, the humans show mercy first. The new dawn in the following weeks. Peace returns. Uneasy, fragile, but real. The Velaran Confederacy collapses, replaced by smaller, humbler states. The Council calls an emergency session, and this time, they do not speak of punishment or fear. They speak of respect. For the first time in 1,000 years, a new treaty is signed, the Soul Accord. A promise that all sentient life will protect the peace together, not from humans, but with them. And so, the legend renews itself. The galaxy spoke in fear once more. But humanity, wiser and older, answered not just in fire, but in judgment. The last line, "In the black between stars, the fleet returns to its silent patrol." The Vengeance Dawn, too, glides through the void, engines dim, hull reflecting the faint glow of distant suns. On her bridge, Admiral Kaito gazes out the viewport, calm and steady. Her voice carries softly through the command deck. They forgot once. They will not forget again. Then she gives the order her ancestors once gave, the same words that shaped history. Maintain the silence, but watch everything. And as the human fleet disappears into the dark, the galaxy remembers once more the lesson written in flame across the ages. Peace is not given. It is kept. Don't ambush a human ship. It is kept. Don't ambush a human ship.